These are some of the sheds that we found by our food plots that we have been planting over the last 10 years. Every year we don't find a lot. Some years we find quite a few, but this is some of the sheds that we do find. A couple of bucks we never had on camera, but that's what food plots late season can bring these bucks in, and then you kind of get an idea of what's around here just by not all of trail cameras, but there are some bucks that avoid trail cameras, and this is some of the proof that we find. Here's a buck that gave us problems for the last couple of years.
Yeah, this is a buck we call Goofy. We've had about 3 years of history with him. I unfortunately missed him last year at 32 yards, and I nicked a branch in late season, and we unfortunately found him dead this year. We assume he got hit by a car just there and we found him, but we taped him out right at 160, but last year he's probably about 120-inch 8-pointer, 7-pointer actually. But he blew up this year. He added a sticker and 5-point side, so he's one of our main hit listers, and shame that we had to find him the way we did. But
so we're gonna head out now to the valley here, and we'll show you some of the setups and some of the food plots, the way we plant it, and kind of give you an idea how we were doing stuff, and maybe some of the setups we got will work for you. And we got one setup that's really good for young kids, first-time hunters. The way we planted it and where we got the stand at is really nice. It's only a 25-yard shot, but it kind of helps. You don't have to range, and those deer will come in for those kids, young kids, get them going. So you're not trying to cover a big area. Where the food plot's only an acre, maybe a little over an acre, but it's 120 yards long and 20 yards wide. So we planted the clover this year, so we're getting pictures of those, but we'll show you once we get out there the transition, the way to sneak in, sneak out without letting deer know that you are there. So come along with us and we'll show you what we got. But the deer like traveling right through here.
So that was all logged this year, just a couple
They just
month ago.
They just finished up the weekend before the 4th of July. They finished logging, so right now we're trying to find trails to put our tree stands back in. So it's going to be a hit and miss this year until we kind of figure out where the trails are really coming through at. So we're not expecting a lot, but you never know what's going to come in. We got to get more bedding area, so next year it's going to be a whole different story. So that's why we did it this year. Our woods are wide open. No deer were bedding on it. It was just more or less a travel corridor. They come through. We'd have to be in the right spot at the right time to catch them on the food. So it's all a new ball game this year. So it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. We got corn here right out of the beginning, then we got soybeans along the edge, but we planted corn all the way up through the middle, through the other end of the valley. What this is our entry and exit for our tree stands. Since we logged now, the hillsides are going to both be open so the deer can really sit. So this way we can stay ahead, go up, but we got soybeans across the valley. Once late season hits here, we're going to put our ground blinds in the cornfield and brush them in, so when the deer come off the neighbors or where they come from, the deer will come out and hopefully feeding the soybeans. We're within 25 to 30 yards of those deer. That's the farthest shot we'll have. Across the valley here, we got like a 15-yard, 10-yard strip there. We didn't plant nothing yet, because when they logged, they needed that to go along, pull logs out. So this year we're going to put a Baraska up here. We're going to spray it this week with Roundup. Give it a week, then we'll till it up and then plant it. We'll put our fertilizer in there and this and that. Next year we're gonna turn that over into a clover patch. Then where the soybeans are at this year, next year that's gonna be corn. We want to keep rotating. Then all our soybeans are down in the middle, so and there'll still be corn on this side, but we're using our corn to walk to the other end of the valley to our tree stands. That's our entry and exit. But now with them logging, now we got trails that go up over the top of the hill. So if I get too many deer in the valley here, I can sneak out and go up over the hill and not bust anything out. So biggest thing is your entry and exit for success for hunting means a lot. So we've learned this place is a little hard to hunt because the wind is always out of the west and it's always blowing up the valley. So there's different things that we've learned over the years that you have to do different to get in and get out without getting busted. You're going to get busted sometimes no matter what. But the least amount you can get busted, the better off your hunt turns out to be. So we're going to go over here and show you our clover plot, why we planted it the way we did, and give you a few ideas. Alright, this is our food plot we just put in this spring of clover and alfalfa mix. It's not the greatest right now. We're gonna, we got the sprayer out today. We got some liquid fertilizer and a boost to put on it. But the reason we put the clover here is deer use these pine trees as a travel corridor, and there's a set aside field behind that. But we went straight across so that way the deer, when they walk out, they feel comfortable. They can look to one side, the other side, so it's not a small boxed in area. We planted corn over here for our entry over to our tower blind. Last year we had it this way a little bit, but we noticed that the deer come over in the middle and that side more in that inside corner. That's why we moved it over. We didn't plant corn clear across the valley because we noticed last year when we didn't plant corn clear across, the deer would come around that corn. So it's only about a 30-yard shot going around the cornfield. So this way the deer feel comfortable. They can look up the valley and they can feed this way over, or go vice versa, go the other way. Where we got the tower stand is, we put it there so that way we can check our other food plots without having to go up there. You know, we can open up the window, look up and see if there's a deer up the valley we want to hunt, or this or that. You know, see what we have for deer without having to run cameras up there all the time, run check cards. Why we did that. Another thing we did for this is I got some friends that are bringing their kids up this year for the youth hunt, for gun hunting. This way the shot's real close for them. You know, you don't want to take them in a big field, make it hard for them. You want them to enjoy it. Deer are close, but another thing too is this, from the blind to the woods, it's only 24 yards. So that way you got young hunters or first time hunters, that shot's under 24 yards. So that way you don't make it hard for them, and then they're not trying to cover a big area, keep it confined. So that way, you know, the deer walk back and forth through here. So that way it gives the kids a chance to hunt and enjoy it without getting discouraged. Also across the valley, you look, you can see a tree stand over there. You can see the strap. But there were 4 or 5 trails over there. So I went over and just hinge cut and just lopped it down and blocked all the trails. What I'm forcing the deer to do is to come out in the inside corner and walk out into a food plot. But inside about 20-25 yards, there's a main trail that they like to use too. So this way I funnel the deer to go either above me or below me for my shot. I didn't want them walking in around my tree stand. I hinge cut it, made it so thick and nasty in there, so I got a little trail to get in and out. So, but when the rut kicks in, they like cruising that side. So that helps me a lot. So forces those deer to go where I want them to go, not where they think they need to go. So that's why we did that over there. It's a new thing we tried this year because we've watched for the last 4 years sitting down here where those deer come out and they're in 3 different trails. It's frustrating. So this year we went in, after they logged, they took out what trees they needed, so then we went in on top of that and cut more down just to block them, so they only have 2 trails to get around us. Alright, we're at the other end. It's another food plot we put in here. It's alfalfa clover mix. For some reason there's a little brassica in here, don't bother me, but we're on the, well, it'll be the north side. This side stays kind of shaded most of the time, so the reason we put the clover and the alfalfa mix up here, it gets about 50% of the sun. It's not really good for corn. We tried 1 year up here, it don't work great, but this year we put the clover plot here. We got corn in the middle, then across we're going to put a deer radish. We had a different kind of food plot in there last year, but we want to try some radishes. You can see where the main logging trails were up. They brought the logs down. I did have clover over there, but they needed room to bring logs out, so they wrecked that, which is not a big problem. But next year, this field here, we're going to split in half. We're going to put corn towards the top and soybeans towards the bottom. But I'm going to use my corn planter to plant my soybeans. So at the end of July, first part of August, I can come in here with my cultivator, go down the rows, loosen the dirt up, then I'll go through, plant a borasca up to the rows. So that way this fall, next fall, I got multiple food plots up here. I got a clover, I got a brassica, soybeans, and corn. So you can see there's 3 inside corners up here. So this makes it really nice for the deer to come out different ways. We got a ground blind behind to my left, and we got a couple tree stands over here. So we're also thinking about putting a taller blind in here too, and close one so we can hunt different winds for late season. So it's just another idea of trying different things. I'll see how it works. Might be great, might not work the greatest, but you know, that's what we're doing this year. So hopefully we can get some doe shot and maybe see a big buck this fall, but time will tell. So, well, we're at our other over alfalfa food plot we put in here 4th of July weekend. It's coming up pretty good. It's got chicory and it's got some rape mixed in with it. Over to my right here, our cornfield that we planted. Unfortunately, the coon got a nice big hole in the middle of it, knocking it all down, but we can't control it. Probably 1st September, middle of September, we'll come up here and see how much more to destroy. Then I'll go in there with the brush hog, maul all the corn up that they did knock down. Then I'll disc it. Then I'll come up here with the winter wheat and just plant winter wheat in there. It's just a cheap feed, but you know, it stays green all winter. You know, give the deer something else to feed on. So don't be discouraged by coon and deer knocking all your corn down. If you got spots like this, don't worry about it. Come in and till it up. You can even put like a borasca in there. What we're gonna do is mow a trail. We got a blind around the corner here to my right. What I'm gonna do is I'll mow a trail straight through so I can shoot into that from the blind and make a trail on the other side that the deer feel like they can walk in, walk out, but are not enclosed. So that's what we're gonna do there. On the uphill side of the corn, we're either gonna put a deer radish in or we're gonna put winter peas and cereal rye. I'm shooting for the cereal rye. Comes up green, but it also is the first thing to green up in the springtime when the deer need it the most. So that's why we're going to do that. A lot of these food plots are for our late season. Another big thing we do them for is shed hunting. We've really gotten into shed hunting like everybody else has. So it's kind of nice when January, February hit, you got nothing to do, you can come out and walk these food plots and look for sheds and then see how much food is left over for the deer. This spring we had 20 inches of snow in February. It was really hard on the deer. We had brassicas, they were really hitting hard. The corn was gone. There was some soybeans, but they had it knocked off, so what we did was took the plow. I just winged the snow down, so that way the deer could only go through a couple inches of snow and find the soybeans. So, well, this is the first year in probably 10 to 15 years that we had no deer that got starved to death, so that's a big thing to help out. Coyotes do get some. It's not can't stop everything. So, but that's the tour of our farm. On top of the hill where the logging trail is, we moved our stand back in up there. It's more of a rut ridge when the bucks start cruising. On top here, they took a lot of trees out. We went through with a logging trail mix. It's got a bunch of clover in it and some other stuff, and it's coming up really nice. So hopefully it'll work out good this fall. It's going to be a learning curve this year. It's going to be a little tough because we logged, kicked a lot of deer out. They're just starting to move back in, so our hopes are not the highest, but you never know what's going to come in. So we'll keep you posted as the hunt season goes on. You see behind here, we just put this ladder stand up about a week ago. We got a major logging trail. They flung all the logs down to my right. The trail splits here, so we're gonna kind of clean out a little spot where they like to travel before. Next year we're gonna take and cut probably 6 or 8 of these trees down. We're gonna put a clover plot or a Nebraska food plot here next year. So this is just a learning curve. Some of the trees that they took out where we had our ladder stands that were Wyatt missed Goofy out of here last year. So it's a learning curve, but it gets real thick back behind us, and it's going to get thick on top. But what we're hoping, by putting the ladder stand there, we can catch the deer this fall using these logging trails for during the rut, going from one transition to another. So see what happens. We're going to put a scrape line in here too, probably this week or next weekend. So see what we can get to hit for bucks in here. So now we're going to head up on top and show you another setup we got, the way we set up for the rut. This is our rut ridge. Our stand was that way about 40 yards, but they took the logs out, so we moved it over here behind all this brush pile. Then it's a big drop off behind us, and we drop off on the back behind the camera there. Those bucks will come up through here, scent check, then they either drop down that way or go back the other way. It's just a good funnel. It's a narrow point. They come up here. The does do bed up here some. I'm hoping more this year, but yeah, it's just a natural funnel. It narrows down. You got a rock cliff on both sides of us, so I like this spot's really good. So thinking about maybe taking a few trees out of here next year and putting a small clover patch in here. See what happens. I don't know. We're still debating how we want to do it. So last year Wyatt was up here. He's seen 17 different deer, a couple small bucks in a couple hour time up here when the rut was kicked in. So while we put the stand there, got drop off behind us, and then there's a barrier here where they push the tree tops and back in here. So the deer got to funnel through here. You go down to my right, down, head to the food plots this way, or go back to the neighbors where it's real thick too. So we'll see what happens. So there's one bass. All right, well, that's the end of the walk of the property here. Being logged this year, it's gonna be a little bit different, but showed you our food plots. Maybe you get some ideas how we were doing stuff. Maybe it worked for you or not. But this year's gonna be our learning experience, logging and stuff like that. So we don't know we got our tree stands up in the right spot. So we'll probably end up moving them 2 or 3 times before end of the year. We got some plans for next year for some more food plots, so inside the woods. So those little kill plots that help a lot. So we'll keep filming and showing what we're doing over the next year or so here. So you're watching Matt from Rush Outdoors. So good luck hunting this fall. We'll hopefully see you pictures of your big deer. Thank you.